Okay, so here's the situation. Most of you who have known me, and this is going out to friends and family members, know that pretty much I've struggled with weight issues since I was about 7 years old. And what I've noticed is since about 1998 was really the first time I seriously tried to control my weight. Since then, I've gone through this yo yoing cycle where I'll drop really low, something will happen, then I'll start to creep up, then I'll hit some kind of a crisis threshold, start dropping, get low, maintain it for a few weeks, few months, something happens, I go back up. So I've been repeating this yo yo cycle for about the last 12 years now. I've noticed that in the last year, I've sure enough followed through in the cycle. This time last year, it was about 275 pounds, between 260 275. And as I moved in to May, started putting on weight, putting on weight, putting on weight. October, I was about 300 pounds. Then in December, I had to see a doctor to get a prescription refilled for a year. I came in at 341 pounds. So that was like huge crisis threshold. And I knew as 2010 began, I was going to have to do something about my weight. I was going to have to diet. I was going to have to get it back under control. But in between the weigh-in in December and actually starting this process, I kind of sat back and started to think about things. It seems like I go through this almost annual progression where either in the spring, the summer, or the early autumn, I'll start dropping down. Then around the holiday time, I will springboard up, which leads back into early winter, spring, starting to fall back down. I have no problem losing weight. A friend of mine once joked that is my one true superpower, my ability to modify my body mass almost at will. I don't have a problem losing weight. I've demonstrated that again and again and again and again throughout this entire yo yo cycle. But what I was thinking about in December and early January as I was kind of psyching myself up for this, I've never really sat down and tried to figure out why I go through these yo yo phases in the first place. In other words, I know I have the ability to get my weight low. I know I have the ability to get it as low as 215 pounds, about 210. I think 210 is the absolute lowest that I've ever been. But as I've been dropping, and telling my friends, either on LiveJournal or on other medium, what I've been doing, I've never sat back and done this kind of self-diagnostic activity to try and figure out exactly why I go through these yo-yo phases in the first place. So what I wanted to do this time was something different. First of all, this is not a I'm going to get thin and pretty project. One of the decisions that I made last year was that I wouldn't let myself get too small because I know I have triggers. Right about the time I hit 230, between 230 and 250, I'm going to trigger. I'm going to see myself in a mirror. I'm going to think, oh my God, I'm entirely too small. I have to gain, which almost always sets off a cataclysm, bringing me up to at least 300 pounds. So what I wanted to do was set a medium. Basically, and throughout my adult life, I've shifted between 3X large and size 50 pants, 1X large and size 42 pants. So what I decided was to come to the middle. 2XL, 46, try to maintain it. And then after 2, 3, 5 years, if I want to push back or for health reasons I have to push back, I don't have 100 pounds to lose. I'm looking at maybe 30 to 40 pounds, and if I've been maintaining it, I can drop it relatively quick. So coming into this, I knew that 2XL, 260 to 275 was going to be the goal. So this is not I'm going to get thin. What this is trying to get back down to that medium where I know my health is stable, I know my blood pressure is fine, I know I'm out of diabetic danger, but as I'm going along, I'm trying to figure out why I go through these yo-yo processes. So what I decided to do was, instead of doing my usual thing where day one I tell everybody in creation and a few people who don't want to hear about it what I'm doing, I kind of kept this relatively covert. This is day 51. Technically it's the evening of 50. It's actually about for in the morning as I'm making this video. I've been doing this for 50 days. So I've been watching my diet. I've been going out to the gym just too many times and documenting it. I know that when I do things like this, I need data. I need to look at numbers. I need to look at figures. That's one of the things that motivates me. So as of day 50, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do this just for 100 days. For 100 days, I wanted to try to lose weight. I wanted to try and monitor. Then at the end of 100 days, I can decide what I want to do. Hopefully, I'll be at that threshold. I'll be at that threshold or at least under a little bit. So I've got a little bounce room when I start going into maintenance mode. But just so everybody knows where I stand right now, I started this on January 13th, 336 pounds. As of this morning, down to 293. So looking at a loss of about 43 pounds so far. Not bad for 50 days. Starting chest measurements were 53 inches, currently down to 50 inches. The belly was at 57, currently down to 52 and a half. The waist was at 51, currently down to 48. Neck measurement, 18 and a half, currently down to 7. Arm measurement, 17 and a quarter, currently down to 16. Thigh measurement started at 32 and a half. It is now 30 and a half. So for the midterm, I mean, these are really great numbers. At 293 pounds, I'm 18 away from kind of the target threshold, and then just 15 pounds beyond that before I've kind of reached the lower end of where I want to be. I've been blogging this every single day. Just one of my habits is to sit down and kind of record my thoughts, things that I've done during the day. If I've noticed that I've had trigger events, I've realized, for example, when I sit down to work at a computer, it's an old bad habit, I get this urge to eat, especially when I'm doing classwork. If I'm sitting down to work on my dissertation, some little part in the reptile animal part of my brain just says, oh my God, we need food. When I engage in gaming activities, I picked up a few boxes of Magic the Gathering cards a few weeks back, and again, as soon as I started cracking booster packs and looking through cards, this little part in the reptile animal part of my brain said, oh my God, we need food. Lots of little things. There are a couple things, now that I'm in the back half of this process, there are a few topics that I know are triggers that I've kind of done some mental grappling with that I want to put out here. Again, this is for nobody but myself. Everybody else is just kind of coming along for the ride if they choose to. Just certain things that I know I need to be aware of and see if I can get some sense of resolution on them. One thing I do have to say is this has been interesting in the fact that I am now on heart medication. I've been on heart medication since November of 2008. I had an erratic rhythm that I'm on sotalol to control, and that's just throttled the hell out of my metabolism. So, considering that I've lost 43 pounds with this pill that keeps my heart rate intentionally low, and I have gone to the gym, one of the things that I try to do on the treadmill is get my heart rate up, and what I'm finding is my lungs and my legs are outpacing my heart. It used to be when I would get on the gym, my heart would just 130, 140. Now I can do 30 minutes cranking at 4 miles an hour, and I cannot get my heart rate above 130, 135, and that's really pushing it. So doing that again and again and again, my lungs are giving out and my legs are giving out before I can get that heart rate up. So I have a little bit of a pharmaceutical block in place. So again, it's just kind of been interesting. So that's where I stand. This is the back half. This is when I'm going on day 51 to day 100. This is where I start to break down. Usually about day 70 is where I start to crash and burn. So I'm about 3 weeks away from traditional roadblock territory. I've got this account. I'm posting on it daily. I've got a Twitter account, www.twitter.com/cutthestring, updating there as well. I'm going to close this out just so everybody kind of knows where I stand. If you want, go back, look at the old videos. If not, start following along as you wish.